welcome to With Our Powers Combined, some learnings on collaboration for building our business Afterify. Who are we? I'm Louise Jones. I'm a co-founder and designer at Afterify. I'm also a young visual architect at Oklahoma. I'm a wife and a dog mom, occasional hobby photographer, and because we're nerds and love to be fun, I wanted to share our favorite dinosaurs. Mine is the Brontosaurus.
And hello, I'm Masat. I'm also a co-founder and the developer at Afterify. I'm also a senior UX designer at Oklahoma. I'm a husband, father of 3 wildlings, 2 children. And my favorite dinosaur is a pterodactyl. So, what is Afterify? Afterify is a SaaS platform we've been working on for the last 5 years that offers creative professionals a suite of content management tools to manage, showcase, and monetize your digital work. We are completely bootstrapped and have spent several hours of our spare time each week designing, coding, customer service, and marketing it. So here are some of the tools that we offer.
So we've got a photo studio. That's where you can upload images, organize them by client and project, and share them through custom landing pages. We've also got a website builder where you can create custom websites without any coding. It's seamlessly integrated into the studio, so you can use the studio as a CMS, or if you're a photographer, you can use it to share photos with clients. And then we've got the storefront. That's where you can enable print on demand options for customers, clients to purchase photos. Great. So today I'm going to share some of the things that we've learned over the past 5 years of working together. Told kind of over 6 periods of time in our history, where we began, how we started evolving into a more solid partnership, or how we stabilized into more sustainable routines, how we matured into more confident collaborators and leaders, and where we're planning to go together in the future.
All right. So before Afterify. So I've always wanted to build something more business. And so this takes us to 8 years ago. I am at my family's getting family photos, and after the photos were done, we were taking it to a room. We were looking through and being correct to pick which ones. But my 1-year-old, of course, did not think that that was an appropriate time to pick photos. I wanted to go play and everything. That made the experience really painful. And at that moment, I thought, there's got to be a better way for this to be done. And that's where I thought, well, if there was an app that I could just be at home and I could look through all of these prints and I could decide, I want these. And the photographer doesn't need to be in the same room with me. I thought, it seemed like a pretty decent idea. Now, this wasn't a completely original one that I wanted to take, but I found myself wanting to take on the challenge to see if I could actually build better. I spent a few years trying to create something, but despite my efforts, I was never fully satisfied with the progress, and none of the work ever got did. And this brings us to about 5 years ago. I started a new job at Louise there, and I soon discovered that she ran her own website business as well. I asked if she'd be willing to use some designs and feedback on creating eventually a business. I would soon realize that what I'd been missing all along, what if I had a partner that had the experience and was able to also challenge? So, some of the main takeaway from this is that I think you can go further together. Asking a lot of questions for me to help expand my understanding how a user might try and use the app, which helps figure out the technical stack that Afterify would potentially be built on. Getting feedback, this helped making sure that I was building for the user and not just myself. I was building for myself at this time. Good partners challenge you and push you to go further. Seek to collaborate with people who have diverse skill sets. So after all of this, I did not want to design, but I really loved to code. We would eventually challenge each other to diversify our skills and art when it came to marketing and customer service. And then a few challenges in life that's problems we solved. And I really love this possibility because I completely believe that every problem can be solved with it is easy to want to stop and give up, but having someone there to push you and ask questions can really help you creating tasks.
So after your trips into working with him, Afterify begins officially.
So we started meeting at a local coffee shop on Wednesdays right after work. These meetings started with us figuring out what we even want to do is what are potential dreams and goals for projects that might be leading us to brainstorm a lot.
But one of the big things that we spent a lot of time on was just coming up for a name for the business. We were trying to figure out who our audience was, what the application was going to be, who we wanted to reach, and what those people would be interested in. And that process went on for like 6 months or so, all the while I was trying to learn how to do application UX design. I started a background more in marketing and graphic design, very different beast.
Yeah, and so as we review and discuss the initial design, what we found is we were carrying over a lot of good ideas from my original work, but we found that there are a lot of things that we really before we.
That's when I took over the design files. And I started making updates. We had a lot of conversations and sometimes debates around the architecture of the application. Those could have been in our meetings or over lunch breaks or text late at night if something would come to mind. It took a lot of time to understand what each other's capabilities and approaches, skills, and motivations were together.
It's funny, I remember thinking about 6 months into this project, I'm so close to being done. Louise laughed at me at the time I mentioned that to her too. So, but even though it took a little longer than that, having well thought out designs and that moral support while they were in the studio really helped. So this is a very first look at those designs that I had attempted to create. One of the major differences that just worked us towards was having a brand identity. I was never thinking about a brand. I was thinking about the functions I wanted to build as a developer. She, however, was thinking about the vision.
So kind of key takeaway for this period of time for us was to create mindful collaboration. It's something that you really have to work at to be successful at it. One thing was creating space to collaborate together on purpose. It's a lot easier and faster. It feels faster to just be heads down a lot of times, do your own work. Especially as an introvert, I like to just stick to my work and avoid the calls if I can sometimes. But it's important to make space to have those conversations for a lot of reasons to cover.
And while collaborating, it's also it's good to establish a common language. I think we all have moments where we remember explaining something and it's gotten lost the person you're talking to. As a developer, I could talk about the fact I'm trying to do, but the designer should understand what I'm doing stuff to be helpful. There's a saran wrap toilet bowl analogy that I'm not going to go into, but as explaining it, it helped get the point across for what I was trying to describe and the solution that I was working on. And last, you should collaborate early and often. In the beginning of giving you our own work and only talk about it, later as we're only getting this. And we would find that we missed something or made the wrong decision. And instead of talking first for work, then would address the grace of extra time and doing and wasting our time. So Afterify starts to evolve. I love
So we chose the name Afterify after all that work to brainstorm on it, and then I started working on coming up with a logo. This was definitely the first test of partnership because we were trying to come up with a decision together. It was really big. We both really wanted to get it right. The logo was just a whole process going back and forth. And then the design started changing to accommodate the new goals that we were coming up with together. So in the beginning, that Pixel Studio design, I was really trying to design for the branding that Andrew came up with. But it was hard for me to move quickly and feel passionate about it. I felt like I was trying to design things that I thought you would want. His own style, what he thought it should look like. So eventually I started adding in my own style and then trying to create that cohesive brand. And luckily I got Andrew on board and he was pretty happy with the new direction.
Yeah, so as we're starting to make large updates and the changes to the designs, it really started to excite me as this is when the app went from feeling like client, feeling like hooks. The code changes were also a very big moment for the evolution of Afterify because that really took us to that next.
Then from the design side, I had to migrate what he had started with, the design files into the program Sketch. So that's what we use at work, my day job. So it's easier for me to apply those skills rather than trying to learn Adobe XD where he had started. It also, helped me learn things more quickly using the program sketch, like the work I use at work too. So it's very mutually beneficial.
And then we come to December of 2021. Both downtown at the Cafe Hotel. It's been a pretty awesome place. Cafe Hotel.
Right across the door.
Yes, check it out.
It's awesome place. And then we've done a lot of work there. But we both took the entire day off and we worked to push the beta of Afterify's production and then open it up. I remember typing the command to deploy, putting it on Louise, press enter, so it would break it.
Is this where you came from?
This would have been December 2021.
Oh yeah, this is right before that.
Yeah.
All right, showing brand exploration here. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. I was experimenting a lot with themes like photography, creativity, abstraction, digital tools. This is part of my process. To be honest, I've never felt like a super strong brand designer. It takes a lot of creativity and talent.
Number one designer, steady.
Just create something and treat it quickly. I think it took me about a year to land on a logo that both Mike Fluid and Andrew would approve. So this is a look at what our branding is today. The logo we ended up loving was this one here. It's kind of a play on the letter A. You can also see a camera with a lens hood, a sun and a mountain, maybe an eye looking upwards. So we wanted to have something that was going to feel different and bold and memorable while also feeling more modern for the application. And then obviously, like how I personally like the style of the house. So big takeaway for this period of time for us was to bring honesty to the conversation. Having an honest conversation and creating a safe space to share what you were thinking. It's really important to us. It's being comfortable to give feedback, being comfortable to receive feedback, especially if it's going to lead to more work or when you're really passionate about something, of course. However, you need to be able to communicate honestly, and the big thing is to keep in mind that you're both ultimately working towards creating a good experience. So that's where the feedback's coming from.
And with that also is trust who you're working with. I think this one's key. That trust and that who you're working with shares the same goals. If there is no trust, then the operation is always become very challenging for both of us.
We also want to be really direct in what we want to do and what each other brings to the table. We've had a lot of conversations about what we should be doing and owning and managing, but just as importantly were the conversations about what we were struggling with, what we weren't inspired by, what we weren't having fun doing. And that's because together then we could find trade-offs, find ways to solution around that less exciting work. So, maybe we would switch off, maybe we would recruit outside help, or do like pair working, just keep each other motivated, get on a call, and be doing our thing while we're doing the work that we don't love.
And during this time too, you just realize that you need to be realistic about our strengths. Say, where there are opportunities to improve. We managed to motivate and support each other to learn and grow that knowledge and become something that we can do today.
All right, now we get to a part where Afterify starts to kind of stabilize. The work that we were doing to reimagine Afterify settled into a more consistent routine, and we had a more methodical approach. We found a good cadence for our meetings, and the big thing was trying to figure out how long different types of work we were going to do was going to take so that we could create more effective plans that we could stick to.
And with those plans also, establishing our specific goals to achieve within a specific timeline. Realistically, our timelines are not 100% on time. We're just two individuals working on really a side project. I don't waste time. But we know we wanted Afterify to be something we could work on. And that has helped keep us driven of the work here.
We tried a lot of different planning methods and tools. We tried Trello and Jira, Evernote, Google Docs, Slack. We bounced around a lot. Today we found that we've been sticking to the tool Notion pretty consistently because you could do planning in there and notes, documentation. And then we've been using Discord for calls, posting questions. We've got a bug channel and all that kind of fun stuff. So it took a while to find the right tools, but then had to find something that we're going to use long term. It's going to keep resetting things up.
The book channel is his favorite.
Use it a lot. And then I migrated the designs one more time. So we sketch at work, we moved to Figma, and I found how great Figma was. And so I was, realizing it was going to really speed up our work. We had a lot of discussion about it, and it's just a good time. It's hard to want to slow down and do a little bit of that admin work, but a lot of the things built into Figma we're going to enable a lot more speed down the line. And this migration also gave up a great time to go through all of the app screens again, do a refresh, again with this more regular approach.
And with the designs being updated, we're refactoring the code for performance. Afterify's code base has grown a lot, and my skill set also as a developer has grown. And as the dream of what Afterify can really be started turning to reality for us, so it became a growing meetings how they this led to a lot of work improving code, performance, but also thinking about how can we keep this ready for what we're running.
All right, so quick look. Top is our Notion roadmap. This is kind of the current process we're using. It's just 2 weeks worth of Kanban boards we're broken up. We're trying to keep the work more bite-sized so we can stick to it.
And then the what if, or this is the wish wall. This is my favorite because if you've ever taken any personality traits, mine's a dreamer. And as you can see, this is where my $1 million ideas live. And if you haven't, but judging by the length, I got a billion. So if this key takeaway is to make sure that you're aligned, always point back to your goal. So I rely on Louise, bringing back to her when I start to train. Since we only work a few hours a week on Afterify, if you were to actually condense the time that we've spent into a full-time schedule, then we built everything that we have today in roughly a year's time. That is because of our ability to stay focused.
We also work really hard to keep each other on track. We're not afraid to point out if each other are going off the rails. We do this to each other really frequently, being work, and it's easy to chase the cool ideas and want to keep pursuing those things when there's not somebody necessarily keeping track of your time. So you have to hold yourself accountable and also practice holding each other accountable. And if we make a pivot, then we can pivot together.
Yeah, and don't forget the fun. I think we both have learned to be on this. These fun ideas really help maintain our motivation. The instant you stop having fun, I think that's when the project will start to. And then we have the Afterify maturing. So we're on a journey of refinement. By this point, we have been working on Afterify for 5 years and had a bunch of user feedback now. We have an ever-growing wish wall of ideas to inspire us.
I've been continuing to work on evolving the brand through those section refreshes. So we started those with Figma. We chose to start with the photo studio as the first place that got a real refresh, since that was kind of the core of the application. And then we also found, again, through user feedback and through us using it, that we really needed a whole section, a jumping off point where we could show people more easily what all the tools were that we offered and just kind of give them a more seamless user experience, whether they're getting into it or a return user. And then as we've been doing the Figma refresh, we're also, again, using the design assistant capabilities of Figma. Slowing down, taking time to make those components is just helping to speed up the process of creating new designs and making it more consistent.
As the brand evolving comes more opportunities to improve the code base. We did create more modular components, and we utilized new modern tech, which helped us streamline future development and when got to stop being. So this is a quick look. We've been evolving a lot of things, but in this also we started creating our own design system, and so we've done a lot of work there. We also started creating some of the more closely to stage markets
And then here's a quick look at those most recent updates. So the home section, which is where we're helping to orient users on how to get into Afterify, gives them this kind of style guide that they can customize, which influences all of their website and landing pages and whatnot. And then the studio, you can see here, we spent a lot more time kind of finessing the details and interactions throughout this. And so it wasn't our first time where we were launching something fully new to the platform, but instead we were focusing on this quality of life improvements that we could make.
So again, the takeaway here is that you can go further. As a developer, the number of times I've told myself that not solve this problem. It's too many to count. I would then attempt to tell Louise this, and of course, I'm unable to solve the problem, only for her to ask questions and push me to take another look at the problem. I do think Afterify would have failed if she didn't push.
It's also important to test each other's work, so you never know what fresh eyes are going to see. We're all familiar when you're building something, you really want to focus on the happy path. Thinking of the edge cases feels like you're opening Pandora's box. So you might be avoiding looking too closely at what you're building. So having fresh eyes review your work is really helpful. They can see things that you don't see or that you don't want to see. And again, I'd say this again, creating a safe space for sharing feedback throughout the whole process. Don't be afraid to challenge each other. All of that is just part of building that healthy environment for collaboration.
And the excitement of wanting to share what you've been working on doesn't need to get technical. If I talk about a challenge like face like some of the things we should build, I think she understands the work of it, and because of that, it gets exciting.
All right, I'm looking forward. Afterify dreams. Hopefully, on a much less ill-fated start than our friends here. So a big thing that we're doing right now to make it successful in the future, we're making sure to work at a sustainable pace. We're trying to jump on opportunities to learn new things, and then we always have our next big releases in mind. We just really found that these are necessary to helping keep us motivated.
Yeah, with that, the pain points that we've experienced, the technical hurdles and the design challenges, all of which has brought some real innovation how we solve problems.
And ultimately, we decided that we just want to build cool shit that we ourselves want to use, because if we don't want to use it, why would anybody else?
So the last key takeaway before we wrap this up is create things that you are proud of. Understand who you are working with. Align with your that aligns with your vision. Build a passion that you work with. We've talked a lot about what Afterify what we wanted Afterify to be, and that has helped us towards this is going from a side project to hopefully sooner rather than later a full-time job.
Want to check in frequently with your collaborators. Don't forget to ask what you think. This is a big thing I had to make an effort to do. And it's mostly like when Andrew's sharing something with me, I don't want to get so caught up in sharing my own opinions that I forget to ask what he's thinking about, what he's developing.
And build things that you want to use. Although not unexpected, we learned early on that the tools that we were building are things that we want to use on our own. We have personal websites, both of us on Afterify. We use the tools that we create, not because we have to, because we want to. And wanting to use these tools creates a fun and exciting time to build it. Make sure that you put time into creating what makes you happy, especially when it involves your work.
Yeah. And take advantage of everything that you can learn, because essentially you never know where you might be able to apply those types of skills. And with that, thank you for joining us. There's where you can find us. Any questions? So
right now, everything's built in. There's a bit of a view and nuts, and then everything's built on top of a full Firebase. And that's it.
And then, how are the customers?
Good. We've had some, we don't have a huge customer base yet, but it's kind of nice because we can work more directly with people. We're still kind of in the beta phase, so it's nice. We're working with them. It's still kind of refining based on what that smaller customer base needs.
Yeah, because I was wondering how the scaling is going, especially, high definition photos.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of problems around, the kind of distribution there as well as the application.
I can tell you firsthand that I had spreadsheets 4 years ago planning and plotting all this out. We're actually in a pretty good spot for
I guess CDN.
Yeah, so again, everything's going through Google Cloud, and that's what we're using. So it's similar to Amazon Web Services and assets. it was actually not too expensive to store a lot of that data on there. Ingress becomes a little bit of a problem. I think we're managing that pretty well. We do a lot of image processing, so taking large images down to. And that was one of the technical things I could easily get into all day about how we're doing all this and that. But yeah, no, I think we're doing pretty good. Our user base hasn't necessarily exploded right yet. We don't want it to. Just want to make sure that we're going at a pace that we will manage, especially again. Part-time job, few hours a week. That's good. So we gotta get out of here.
Yep.